In the small town of Derry, Maine, a place where whispers of the supernatural are as common as the fallen leaves of autumn, there stands an institution that has seen more decades pass than most of its denizens dare to guess. Qingquan High School, with its ivy-clad walls and Gothic spires, looks more like a setting from a bygone era than a modern place of learning. It is here, at the edge of the dense, whispering forests that encroach like curious onlookers, that Lin Feng finds himself on a crisp September morning. Lin, a newcomer not just to Qingquan but to Derry itself, stands at the threshold of the school, his heart drumming a nervous rhythm against his ribs. The air is heavy with the scent of pine and the distant murmur of the town, yet around the school, a hushed silence prevails, as if the very grounds are holding their breath. The trees sway gently, their leaves rustling, almost in warning. He is a picture of apprehension and curiosity, his eyes darting from the ornate, weathered statues that guard the school's entrance to the faintly mist-covered windows that give nothing away of the secrets within. Lin has heard rumors, of course, every student in Derry has, of strange happenings and eerie occurrences within the walls of Qingquan. Whispers of long-gone students who roam the halls, of inexplicable chills, and of shadows that move with a mind of their own. Taking a deep breath, Lin steps forward, the old gravel crunching under his sneakers, a sound that seems too loud in the encompassing stillness. He can't shake the feeling of being watched, though when he turns, there's nothing but the quiet forest and the slowly fading mist. As he crosses the threshold, the heavy oak doors creaking open with an age-old groan, Lin feels a chill that has nothing to do with the morning air. It's as if he's stepping into another world, a place where the boundaries between the natural and the supernatural are blurred. Inside, the halls of Qingquan High School are dimly lit, the light filtering in through stained glass windows, casting colorful patterns on the stone floor. The air is cooler, the silence more profound, broken only by the distant echo of footsteps and the occasional, inexplicable creak of old wood. Lin's first day at Qingquan High School promises to be anything but ordinary. As he walks down the corridor, his footsteps echoing in the empty hall, he can't help but feel that he's walking into a story, one that's been unfolding long before he arrived and will continue long after he's gone. A story of mystery, of shadows, and perhaps, of things best left undiscovered. On the outskirts of Qingquan High School's campus, where the dense forest seems to press in with an almost eager curiosity, there stands an edifice that seems to belong more to the realm of forgotten tales than to that of a bustling school environment. The abandoned library, a structure that time and nature have conspired to reclaim, looms like a silent sentinel guarding secrets of a bygone era. The windows of the library are shattered, gaping like hollow eyes into the soul of anyone brave enough to glance within. Vines and ivy creep up the walls in a slow, inexorable siege, as if the forest itself is attempting to swallow the building whole, to erase the history etched into its crumbling stones. Lin Feng and his new classmate, Xiao Jia, stand a cautious distance away, their eyes fixed on the haunting facade. The air around them feels thicker here, tinged with the scent of old books and forgotten stories. Xiao Jia, a boy with an inquisitive spark in his eyes, turns to Lin, his voice a mixture of excitement and unease. They say this library was once the heart of the school, a place where knowledge and mystery intertwined like the ivy on its walls, Xiao Jia says, his gaze lingering on the decrepit building. But one day, something happened. No one knows exactly what, but after that day, the doors were sealed, and it was left to decay. Lin, his curiosity piqued, steps closer, his eyes scanning the broken windows, half expecting to see something, or someone, staring back. What kind of something? He asks, the words barely above a whisper, as if afraid to disturb the slumbering secrets of the library. Xiao Jia shrugs, a shiver running down his spine despite the morning sun. Stories vary. Some say it was a forbidden book that was opened, unleashing something that couldn't be put back. Others talk about a student who vanished within its walls, her whisper still echoing in the abandoned halls. And then there are those who believe the library is alive, watching and waiting. The very idea sends a chill down Lin's spine. He looks at the library, its silent, brooding presence more unsettling now. Has anyone tried to go in? He asks, not sure if he's more scared or intrigued by the prospect. A few have, Xiaojia replies, his voice dropping to a hush. But they say those who enter are never the same when they come out. Some don't come out at all. It's like the library has a mind of its own, choosing who can uncover its mysteries. The two boys stand there for a moment longer, the silence around them heavy with unspoken thoughts. Then, almost as if on cue, a gust of wind sweeps through the trees, rattling the broken windows of the library and sending a cascade of fallen leaves swirling around them. Lin steps back, his heart pounding. This place, this forgotten relic, holds stories that perhaps should remain untold, secrets that are better left undisturbed. Yet, the allure of the unknown, the whisper of adventure and mystery, is hard to resist. As they turn to leave, both Lin and Xiaojia cast one last glance over their shoulders at the abandoned library. It stands there, as it has for years, its silence a challenge, its decay a warning. In the world of Qingquan High School, where the ordinary and the extraordinary blend seamlessly, the library waits, its stories locked within, biding its time until the next curious soul dares to uncover what lies within its shadowed, vine-entangled walls. The night at Qingquan High School wears a cloak of shadows, the kind that seems almost tangible, as if it could wrap around you, whispering secrets of the dark. The dormitory, a stolid building with a history as deep and layered as the rest of the school, now rests in the eerie quiet that only the late hours can bring. Lin Feng lies in his bed, the moon casting a pale, ethereal glow through the window, painting ghostly patterns on the walls. The dormitory is silent, save for the soft breathing of his sleeping roommates. But sleep eludes Lin, his mind replaying the unsettling tales and rumors he's heard since arriving at Qingquan. As he tosses and turns, trying to find comfort in the cool sheets, a sound drifts through the air, sneaking in through the slightly ajar window. It's a song, low and haunting, the melody unfamiliar yet oddly captivating. Intermingled with the music is the sound of a girl crying, her sobs carrying a weight of sorrow that tugs at Lin's heart. He sits up, his eyes wide in the dim light, trying to discern if what he's hearing is real or just a figment of his imagination. The trees outside sway in the wind, their leaves rustling, creating a chorus that underscores the eerie nocturne. The sound seems to be coming from somewhere on the school grounds, but its exact origin is shrouded in the night. Fear grips Lin, his body tense, every sense heightened. The stories he's heard about Qingquan, of its haunted history, of figures seen wandering the grounds at night, of voices that whisper in the wind, now seem all too real. The singing continues, a lament that feels as old as time, and the girl's crying grows more desperate, more heart-wrenching. Lin debates whether to wake his roommates or investigate on his own. The rational part of his mind tells him to stay put, that it's just the wind, or perhaps someone playing a prank. But another part, driven by a mix of fear and an inexplicable pull towards the unknown, urges him to look out the window, to try and see who, or what, is making those sounds. As he cautiously approaches the window, the sounds grow fainter, as though aware of his attention. Lin peers out into the night, the school grounds bathed in a mix of moonlight and shadow. But there's nothing there, no sign of anyone, just the swaying trees and the whispering wind. The song and the crying have stopped now, leaving behind a silence that feels heavier, more oppressive. Lin stands at the window, his heart still racing, wondering if he really heard what he thinks he did, or if Qingquan's atmosphere is finally getting to him. Eventually, he returns to bed, but sleep is a long time coming. The sounds of the night linger in his mind, an unsettling lullaby that reminds him he's in a place where the line between reality and fantasy is blurred, where every corner, every shadow, might hold a story yet untold. As the sun dips below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and crimson, Lin Feng finds himself drawn to the path less traveled, the one that winds its way towards the old, forsaken library of Qingquan High School. It's a decision made not out of bravery, but out of a relentless curiosity that seems to echo the whispers of the school's many mysteries. The path is secluded, bordered by the encroaching trees that have stood as silent witnesses to the decades that have passed. Their branches sway gently in the evening breeze, casting dancing shadows that seem to play tricks on the eyes. Lin's footsteps are soft on the dirt path, his heart a mixture of anticipation and apprehension. As he approaches the library, the building appears even more foreboding than it did in the daylight. The setting sun casts long shadows across its facade, the broken windows gaping like dark, unblinking eyes. The once grand structure, now a haven for dust and decay, looms before him, both a challenge and a warning. Gathering his courage, Lin reaches out to the heavy wooden door. It creaks ominously as it opens, a sound that seems to reverberate through the still air. He steps inside, the door swinging shut behind him with a dull thud that echoes through the empty halls. The interior of the library is cloaked in shadows, the fading light from outside barely penetrating the grime-covered windows. The air is thick with the scent of old paper and the mustiness of neglect. Cobwebs drape from the high ceilings, and dust motes dance in the slivers of light, giving the place an ethereal, otherworldly feel. Books, their covers faded and worn, lay scattered across the floor, some open as if left mid-read. The shelves, once orderly repositories of knowledge, now stand haphazardly, some leaning precariously as if ready to spill their contents at the slightest touch. It's as if the library is frozen in time, a moment captured just as chaos began to creep in. Lin treads carefully, his eyes scanning the room, half expecting to see the spectral figures from the stories he's heard. But there's only silence, a silence so profound it almost hums in his ears. As he ventures deeper, the sense of being watched grows stronger. The air feels colder here, and every so often, a draft whispers across his skin, raising goosebumps. Lin can't shake off the feeling that he's not alone, that the library is aware of his presence, its unseen eyes following his every move. He finds an old desk, paper strewn about, their words faded and illegible. A broken lamp lies on its side, its shade torn. It's a snapshot of a time long gone, of a place abruptly abandoned, leaving behind only questions without answers. Lin's exploration takes him through aisles of towering bookshelves, each step raising a cloud of dust. He feels like an intruder in a world that has moved on, a world that hides its secrets in plain sight. Finally, as the last light of day fades and the library is swallowed by darkness, Lin realizes it's time to leave. He retraces his steps, the feeling of unseen eyes on him intensifying with each step. When he reaches the door and pushes it open, the cool evening air feels like a release, a return to the world he knows. But as he walks back down the path, the library standing silent and imposing behind him, Lin knows that what he's seen, the atmosphere he's felt, has changed something within him. Qingquan High School is more than just a place of learning, it's a repository of stories, of mysteries, and the old library, with its dusty books and silent halls, is at the heart of it all. In the dimmest corner of the library, where the shadows seem to converge into an almost tangible darkness, Lin Feng's hand brushed against something unexpected amidst the detritus of forgotten tales. It was a book, but not like the others scattered around. This one was smaller, its cover worn to the point of being almost unrecognizable, its spine cracked with age. With a mixture of reverence and unease, Lin picked it up, the leather cover feeling brittle under his fingers. He opened it gently, the pages whispering as they turned. They were yellowed with time, the edges frayed and delicate. The handwriting within was neat at first, the ink faded but legible. But as he flipped through the pages, the script became increasingly erratic, the words almost scrawled in a frenzy of emotion. The diary, as it soon became apparent, belonged to someone deeply entwined with the mysteries of Qingquan High School. The initial entries were mundane, detailing daily life and studies. But as Lin delved deeper, the tone shifted. The author began to speak of strange occurrences within the school, of shadows that moved of their own accord and whispers that emanated from the walls. Then, the entries started to hint at something more sinister. The author wrote of an ancient ritual, the details of which were obscured by time and the writer's growing instability. The words conveyed a sense of urgency, a fear that was palpable even after all these years. Phrases like "they must never awaken" and "the seal must hold" leaped out from the pages, sending shivers down Lin's spine. The diary's later entries were chaotic, the handwriting almost illegible. The author spoke of nightmares that bled into reality, of a terror that stalked the halls of Qingquan. They wrote of a darkness that was coming, something ancient and terrible, bound by an old ritual but now stirring, restless. As Lin turned the last page, he found it blank, as if the author had either left it unfinished or had been unable to continue. The abrupt end left him with more questions than answers. What was this ritual the author had mentioned? What terror had they been so afraid of? And most importantly, what had happened to them? Closing the diary, Lin felt a weight of unease settle over him. The shadows of the library seemed to press closer, the silence more oppressive. He realized that the diary was not just a relic of the past, it was a piece of a puzzle that Qingquan High School had been hiding in its shadowed halls and whispered stories. With the diary tucked under his arm, Lin made his way out of the library. The night air felt different now, charged with an unseen energy. As he looked back at the darkened windows of the library, he couldn't shake off the feeling that the secrets of Qingquan were slowly unraveling, revealing a truth that was as terrifying as it was compelling. Under the ghostly luminescence of the full moon, Lin Feng's heart pounded in his chest as he stood near the abandoned library, the diary's secrets still burning in his mind. The air was thick with the scent of pine and old paper, and the night was unnaturally still, as if the world itself was holding its breath. It was then that he saw her. She appeared at the edge of the moonlight's reach, a figure so out of place yet so eerily fitting in the landscape of Qingquan High School's darker tales. A girl, young and seemingly fragile, dressed in the school's uniform. But it wasn't any student Lin knew. Her face was ashen, almost translucent under the moon's glow, and her eyes held a depth of sorrow and emptiness that was almost palpable. She seemed to flicker in and out of existence, a ghostly apparition rooted in the world of the living yet part of something much more ancient and mysterious. Her gaze was fixed on Lin, and for a moment, he felt as if she was looking right into his soul. Lin's first instinct was to run, to escape this specter from Qingquan's haunted past. But there was something in the girl's demeanor, a silent plea that resonated with the unspoken horrors he had just read about in the diary. She drifted closer, her movements ethereal, like a wisp of smoke carried by a gentle breeze. Her lips moved, but no sound came out at first. Then, as if breaking through a barrier, her voice reached him, a whisper that was almost drowned out by the rustling of the leaves. "Help me," she said, her voice a mere echo of life. Lin, despite every fiber of his being screaming against it, found himself rooted to the spot, compelled by a mix of fear and compassion. "Who are you? What happened to you?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper. The ghostly girl looked around, as if afraid of being overheard by the night itself. "I was once like you, a student here," she began, her voice gaining strength. "But I found something in this library. And it took me." Lin thought of the diary, of the terror and madness that had seeped through its pages. "Is it related to the ritual? The one mentioned in the diary?" he asked, his voice trembling. The girl's eyes widened with a mix of surprise and relief. "Yes, the ritual. It's not just a story. It's real, and it's dangerous. It's been forgotten, but it's awakening now. You must stop it, or others will suffer my fate." Lin felt a chill run down his spine. The pieces were coming together, forming a picture that was as terrifying as it was urgent. "How can I stop it?" he asked, his resolve hardening. The ghost girl pointed towards the library. "Inside, there's a hidden chamber, where the ritual was performed. Find it, and you'll find the answers. But be careful, the darkness. It's watching." As she spoke her final words, a gust of wind swept through the trees, and the girl's form began to fade, like mist at the break of dawn. "Remember, you're not alone," she whispered, her voice fading into the night, and then she was gone, leaving Lin alone under the moonlit sky, with nothing but the whispering wind and the daunting task ahead. He knew what he had to do. With a newfound determination, he stepped towards the library, the old diary in hand, ready to face whatever secrets lay hidden in its shadowed depths. On a stormy night, when the rain drummed against the windows like impatient fingers and the wind howled through the trees as if in mourning, Lin Feng and a small group of brave classmates gathered in the abandoned library of Qingquan High School. Armed with the knowledge gleaned from the old diary and driven by a mix of fear and determination, they were there to complete a ritual, one that they hoped would lay to rest the restless spirit of the ghost girl and perhaps unravel the deeper mysteries of Qingquan. The library, with its shadow-laden corners and shelves heavy with forgotten tales, felt even more ominous under the flickering light of the candles they had brought. Thunder rumbled in the distance, punctuating the tense atmosphere as they prepared for the ritual. Following the instructions in the diary, which spoke of ancient rites and forgotten words of power, they arranged themselves in a circle in the heart of the library. Lin, holding the diary, began to recite the words written in its pages. The words felt strange on his tongue, ancient and powerful, resonating in the air around them. As the ritual progressed, the wind outside seemed to grow more furious, as if protesting against the unraveling of secrets long kept. The candles flickered wildly, casting eerie shadows that danced along the walls and bookshelves. Lin's classmates muttered the incantations, their voices growing stronger with each repetition, merging into a chorus that filled the library. And then, amidst the storm's fury and the chanting, the ghost girl appeared. She stood at the edge of their circle, her translucent form clearer than ever under the candlelight. Her eyes, once empty, now shone with a faint light, reflecting the hope that perhaps her long torment was nearing its end. As Lin spoke the final words of the ritual, a sudden calm descended upon the room. The wind ceased its howling, and the rain seemed to pause, as if nature itself was holding its breath. The ghost girl's form began to shimmer, becoming more ethereal with each passing second. She looked at each of them, a silent gratitude in her eyes that no words could convey. Then, with a final, peaceful sigh that seemed to echo through the library, her form dissipated, like mist in the morning sun. The group stood in silence, the weight of what they had just witnessed heavy upon their hearts. The ritual was complete, the spirit was at peace, and the library, for the first time in many years, felt just a little less burdened by the shadows of the past. As they left the library, the storm began to subside, the rain easing into a gentle patter. They walked back to their dorms under a clearing sky, the moon peeking through the dispersing clouds, casting a gentle light upon Qingquan High School. In the days that followed, the library seemed different, less foreboding, as if a part of its dark history had been put to rest. And while many mysteries still lingered in the halls of Qingquan, Lin and his friends had taken a step into the unknown and emerged with a story that would be whispered among students for years to come, a tale of bravery, of ghosts, and of a ritual that bridged the gap between the past and the present. After the ritual had concluded and a sense of eerie calm settled over the abandoned library, Lin Feng's eyes caught a glimpse of something partially obscured in a neglected corner of the room. It was another diary, older and more worn than the first, its cover dulled by layers of dust, as if it had been lying in wait for years, holding its breath and its secrets. Curiosity, now a familiar companion to Lin, drove him to carefully pick up the diary. He wiped away the dust, revealing a faded title that hinted at the contents within. This diary belonged to a young teacher of Qingquan High School, someone who, many years ago, had delved into realms of knowledge that were considered forbidden and arcane. As Lin flipped through the pages, he found detailed accounts of strange experiments, notes scrawled in a meticulous hand that spoke of a mind both brilliant and dangerously curious. The teacher had been fascinated by the supernatural elements rumored to be woven into the fabric of Qingquan, and his entries detailed his attempts to understand and perhaps harness these forces. The diary spoke of late-night explorations into hidden parts of the school, of ancient texts discovered in forgotten nooks, and of rituals performed under the cloak of darkness. The teacher's obsession with the supernatural was evident in every word, his excitement palpable as he drew closer to what he believed was a breakthrough in his quest for knowledge. But as Lin neared the end of the diary, the tone shifted dramatically. The entries became more erratic, the handwriting more frantic. The teacher wrote of voices that whispered to him in the dead of night, of shadows that moved of their own accord, and of a growing sense of paranoia and fear. He mentioned a discovery, something profound and terrifying, but the details were maddeningly vague, lost in a sea of scribbles and crossed-out lines. The final pages were the most disturbing. The words twisted across the paper in a chaotic dance, the ink blotted and smeared as if the teacher had been in a state of utter panic when he wrote them. Phrases like "it's watching me" and "I've gone too far" were interspersed with incomprehensible scribbles and symbols that made Lin's skin crawl. Closing the diary, Lin felt a chill run down his spine. This second diary was not just a record of academic curiosity, it was a descent into madness, a cautionary tale of what happens when one's thirst for knowledge crosses into realms best left unexplored. As Lin left the library, the diary tucked under his arm alongside the first, he realized that Qingquan High School held more secrets, more stories than he had ever imagined. And now, with the discovery of this second diary, he knew that the mysteries of the school were far from being fully unraveled. The night's events had opened a door, and Lin couldn't help but feel that what lay beyond was both fascinating and frightening in equal measure. As Lin Feng made his way out of the library, the weight of the newly discovered diary pressing against his side, a sudden chill enveloped him, slicing through the lingering warmth of the ritual's completion. It was a coldness that seemed to seep into his very bones, a reminder that the night was far from over. The halls of Qingquan High School, usually so familiar and mundane, now felt like a labyrinth of shadows, each corner hiding potential secrets, each doorway a passage to unknown terrors. The faint echo of his footsteps on the aged floorboards was the only sound in the oppressive silence that hung in the air. Then, it happened. A soft, sinister laugh, barely more than a whisper, drifted through the darkness. It was a sound that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere, a mocking, chilling reminder that Lin was not alone. Heart pounding, he spun around, his eyes straining to pierce the darkness. But there was nothing, only the empty corridor stretching out behind him, bathed in shadows and silence. The laugh had vanished as quickly as it had appeared, leaving Lin to wonder if he had imagined it. Yet the feeling of unease lingered, a sense that something unseen was watching, waiting. The laughter had been too real, too malicious to be a figment of his imagination. It hinted at a deeper, more malevolent force at play within the walls of Qingquan, something that the diaries, with all their secrets, had only begun to uncover. As Lin continued his walk back to the dormitory, the darkness seemed to press in closer, the silence heavier. The mysteries of Qingquan High School were deep and many, and he realized that what they had encountered so far might only be the tip of the iceberg. The laughter in the darkness was a sinister reminder that some secrets are guarded closely, lurking in the shadows, biding their time. Reaching the safety of his room, Lin sat down, the diaries on the desk before him. He knew that the journey he had embarked upon was far from over. The school's past was a tangled web of knowledge and madness, of rituals and ghosts, and now, of sinister laughter in the dark. The path to unraveling these mysteries would be fraught with danger, but Lin understood that some truths demanded to be brought into the light, no matter how unsettling they might be.